So, some may or may not like what I'm about to say, some of the things I'm going to say. Um, but these things need to be said and people need to be prepared. Okay. I'm going to say this. So, we started off, right? I'm hearing people say, using the words from Joshua, and I'm seeing it from Christian and Messianics on both sides. And that word is, God will be with you. Chazak, chazak, be strong. That's what they're saying. For God goes with you. But I'm going to say something else. That was for those that obeyed God's laws, that kept his commandments, that walked in his spirit, and were not full of a different spirit. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. God says right here, and I'm going to reveal something else with one of the kings of something that's going on exactly right now. And let me tell you this. At Jeremiah 12, he says, I'm just going to read 2 verses right here. 16 through 17. So come to pass, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people to swear by my name as Adonai lives, just as they taught my people to swear by Baal. Baal is in the church. Then they will be built up in the midst of my people. But if they will not obey, then I will uproot the nation, plucking it up and destroying it is a declaration of Adonai, which is the Lord. He also says right down here in 13, then the word of Adonai came to me, in verse 8, saying, this says Adonai, just as I will mar the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem, that's God's people. Again, that's Jew and Gentile. You accepted the covenant. This is what I'm saying. This wicked people will refuse to hear my words, who walk in the stubbornness of their heart and go after other gods to serve and worship them, will be like a waistband worth nothing at all. So, what is happening? I'm going to say this. You're going to, as I warned a couple days ago, like last week, I said, do not choose a side. And why do I say this? Because this is what God is instructing me. And if you cannot listen to this right now, go bury yourself in the ground. Okay? I'm going to say some more. Again, the things that are going on, I said was going to come. There's going to be more things that are going to come in the future. Now keep paying attention to what I'm about to say some more of. In 2 Chronicles 25, King Amaziah, he did not put their children to death, but acted according to what is written to Torah, the book of Moses, which Adonai commanded, saying, parents should not die for their children, neither should the children die for their parents, but every person should die for his own sins. Now, what happened with Amaziah? He brought in an army and paid an army. That army represents the gold. He paid them with money, right? And that gold represents whatever God says to buy. Gold refined by fire. Then there's the gold of Babylon, okay? So the man came to him and told him, this is 2 Chronicles 25. A man came to him and told him, do not go to war, because if you do, God will not go with you. God will not be with you. This is what happened. So I'm going to read this. For if you go and fight, in verse 8, courageously in battle, God will overthrow you before the enemy, for God has power to help and to bring down. So Amaziah asked what he should do, and he said that the man said to send them back. So what happened when he sent the men back? They basically ransacked other towns. Now I'm going to say something more. As time went on, he went after the armies on himself, his own self. What happened? He ended up turning away from God because he won the war by a name of another god. So he turned away from God and worship their God, a God of power and strongholds, and a God of money. The man said, if you obey this, you turn away, then God will give you more. He'll give you more than these 100 talents. It's interesting. Now, I don't know if anybody can see this right now, but I'm about to go to something else. What I'm saying to you is this. God is not pleased with this country. He is not pleased with any country in this whole entire world. He is displeased with Israel. He's displeased with America. He's displeased with everyone. He's displeased with the church. You say, well, I don't belong to a church. If you're professing the name of God and you're not obeying him according to his word, and you're picking and choosing all these sides, political sides. Yes, God is in politics, right? But both sides are using his name in vain. Both sides are using God's name. And to me, all I see is confusion. I see everybody confused, looking for answers, looking for direction, looking for some kind of promise, trusting in men, trusting in strongholds, trusting in the world's armies and the church's armies. The church's armies are gonna fail, but the remnant will succeed. Is this making sense? Remember I said that these people would be used. Remember the vision when I said that Trump was putting envelopes. There's a golden Oscar. I just posted it again yesterday to remind people. There's a golden Oscar. Then there was a silver Oscar for Biden. There's a golden Oscar for Trump. And in that vision, you had people praising on both sides. Then inside you had people like Kamala and Biden, or Kamala and Obama and Pence and others inside the White House. Then you have Trump putting envelopes into a wheelbarrow right next to Biden. Now, I don't know if anybody can see what I'm seeing right now. But here in Micah 3, thus says Adonai about the prophets who are misleading my people, who bite with their teeth and cry shalom, a word that he did not put in their mouth. They consecrate war against him. Therefore, you will have night without vision. He's saying you consecrate war against God. You have night without vision and darkness without divination. The sun shall set on the prophets, and the day shall become dark upon them. So the seers will be ashamed and the diviners will be abased. I'm going to tell you, there's all around this country, I've seen pastors sticking up for both sides, political sides. You have all kinds of these worldly musicians, political leaders, social media influencers, self-proclaimed prophets on Messianic Judaism and Christianity. Both serve the devil. Both are blind. And you're having these Christian musicians going to Washington, D.C. I'm telling you, they're all of the devil and they all worship the devil. Both sides. And if you don't want to hear that, you worship the devil too, and you're in Antichrist just right with them. He's deceiving the entire world. God is allowing it to happen. And if you're not hearing what is being said, I don't know what you're doing with your life. He says, so the seers will be ashamed, the diviners will be abased. Indeed, all of them will cover their lips, for there will be no answer from God. And nobody has an answer from God. I remember I said, you'll fight and fight and fight and will not succeed. If God says to do it, then do it. But God is not saying to do this, what everybody is doing right now. Both sides are wrong. Both sides are Antichrist. The whole entire church is a synagogue of Satan. I'm not saying all, but 99%. I'd be 99% very well. If you keep worshiping your riches and say that's freedom, you keep worshiping your jobs and toiling for wind and say that's freedom. That's not. Your freedom is in the law. Your freedom is following God. The freedom is obeying God's commandments. Unfortunately, you have these stupid messianics that say, I worship God, and guess what they're doing? Celebrating New Year's. But yet you post all your pictures about all your holy day keeping and Shabbat keeping, right? You know who you are. Then you have these Christians that don't want any part to do with God's laws. Oh, we obey God's laws, but you don't even know it. That's why they're using words out of context from Joshua. God goes with you. Chazak, be strong. Be strong for what? How can you be strong in your own strength? God doesn't go with you. He's not before you. He's not going with the people. Why do you think I'm here where I am right now? Because God told me not to go anywhere. So why is everybody running around? I get it. I get it. People are mad. I get it. People are angry. Completely understandable. Years ago, I would have been right there with them until God opened my eyes and showed me something different. So we're seeing more. So this is what I'm going to say. God is assembling an enemy against us. He's assembling an enemy against us. And whether people want to hear that or not, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to say this. Now Ephraim, Hosea 12:9. Ephraim said, who's Ephraim? Maybe God would show you more. How I have become rich. I found wealth in myself. I won't be guilty of any sin with any of my property. Yet I have been Adonai, your God, since the land of Egypt. I will yet again make you dwell in tents. As in the days of the Moed, I spoke through the prophets and multiplied visions. Now through the prophets I will make parables. People are trusting their gold and silver. They trust in kings. They trust in rulers. They trust in their jobs. They trust in family. They trust in everything their eyes can see. They trust in riches. They trust in their 401ks and their investment portfolios and their bank accounts. They trust in these things. But these things will not save you. When judgment comes, it's going to be counted as worthless. And I'm going to tell you, you want to know what chazak is? Be strong, be strong. When judgment comes and the remnant rises up from the ashes in those moments, then you'll be strong. But the rest of the world, the trembling, the church, the messianics, God says it. They'll shriek with fear. They'll scatter. They'll be fearful. Their hearts will fail them. The priests' hearts will fail them. Does that sound familiar in Matthew? Men's hearts start to fail them. So when you see the pastors and the church leaders and the messianic leaders and the rabbis all throughout the world that's professing to be following God, I'm going to tell you, all these Torah movements, these Hebrew roots movements, not serene movements. All these things are going to tremble, they're going to cower down, and they're going to perish. Hearts will fail them for what's coming upon the earth. And if you are not ready, your hearts will fail you too. Watching a black horse right now. It's coming upon the entire world. While people are sleeping, chasing and toiling after wind. Your breath is worthless. Everything you do is in vain. You can't rest in God. You can't take comfort in Him. You can't have peace and shalom with Him because you're too busy toiling in this life. For what? Money? Comfort? Security? We're entrepreneurs. Your entrepreneurship, let it die. Small and big business is all going to die. It's all going to perish of one day. And while people are still trying to hold on to everything that they can hold on to is see and touch, worthless. Worthless. I warn these things over and over again. Very few here. Just like in Jeremiah was at 33. People come and sit and hear the words that you speak. You're like a love song to them. You're like a sweet song on an instrument playing. But they do not do them or practice the words that you speak. People honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. People love to use that about everyone. They'll realize they're speaking about their own selves. Their actions are in vain. Everything they do is in vain. But wait, we serve you, God. We worship you. What, in your false church, in your false synagogues? Messianic Judaism and Christianity as a majority is completely heretic, completely apostate, full of emotionalism and knowledge, but not after the true worship of God. They don't worship Him in spirit and truth. They worship Him in mind and emotions, mind and heart, while bringing the idols of the world, of gold and silver, wood and stone, and they trust in these things, what their hands can build and the eyes can see, hands can touch. But they do not lay it down and give it up. Sacrifice these things so that there may be true worship. No. People aren't even ready for what's about to come. You're not even ready. What I'm saying to you, you better find that place of rest. And I'm speaking very calmly without yelling. I have no energy to yell. God will do enough of it in the future. The mountains will shake, the seas will roar. And even still, people don't tremble. They say, pray for, pray for. Pray for what? Same people choosing political sides. The same ones are going to perish. You don't believe me? You will. For the days are coming where people will seek rest but will not find it. Will seek comfort but will have no one to hold them. Will seek joy, but it won't be found by weeping. Seek happiness, only followed by fear. Israel and America will be brought down, and all the nations who lust after them. For everyone has turned away from God. This is not a time to seek your goals and your dreams. Now is not a time to make your own goals, your own plans. And I say this, it saddens me to say this, that many of you, even some of you watching, probably a majority, especially you that I keep speaking right now, you won't even stop typing. You're not going to make it. I pray that you will. But until you find that place of rest, it's not going to help you. A lion with iron teeth is coming. It's going to shake this entire nation. When? I don't know. But it's going to be an hour when we least expect it. Calm before the storm. Look, I love you all and I pray for you all. But I don't think we're ready or serious enough for what's about to come. We sing praises, we pray in His name, we speak in His name, read His words. But if you're not being brought out of all desires and passions of this life, sins, goals and dreams, materialisms and riches, things you can see and things you can touch, if you're not being brought out from these things, your love of your jobs, love of your money, the pursuit of worldly possessions and things in this life, you're not ready. You're not ready. We have to come to an end of ourselves, into this life. Because everything in this life is in vain. And we must have the faith in Him and trust. Stop trying to change what God has already said is coming. You can't change it. So why are these Messianics and Christians trying to change it? God has already spoken, and He will not change. He will not relent His wrath or His anger. He will not relent what He's already prophesied from over 2,000 plus years ago. What is spoken is what is spoken. What will be is what will be. Not I, not you, not anyone in this world can change it. Revival is not revival. The only revival will be with Antichrist, the false prophet, the dragon, and the beast. You choose this day whom you will serve. Because the end is coming quickly. Not many will be ready. Shalom, everybody.